Welcome to Ctrl+Alt+Narrate, your go-to source for captivating stories and engaging conversations in the world of digital media. I'm your host, Sneesha, and today I have Victoria back with me. Join us as we learn about the journeys of our incredible guests from the MDM program.
So Diana, let's Ctrl+Alt+Narrate your story. Would you like to start by introducing yourself, maybe your academic and career background?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So I like to call myself a curious human because I'm very multi-hyphenated in what I do. But I teach here at the university at TMU, and I teach online, and I'm a digital publisher, and I have a podcast, and all sorts of other making things. So yeah, I like to call myself a curious human, but I definitely dabble in the spaces of publishing and books and typography and all of these kind of things that fit together, but my interests go off into 17 different places. Yeah.
So the walking definition of multidisciplinary.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like distracted easily. Squirrel, and that's me.
Well,
In a good way, I think.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. I've made peace with it.
yeah, your creativity needs to go somewhere.
Right? It does.
Yeah.
I agree.
I guess,
Go for it.
oh yeah. In that case, how did you land on teaching and then also the direction that, like podcasting and then choosing to do all these side quests? How did you choose all of these things that you're currently doing right now?
They all chose me.
Oh.
No, I don't know.
That's the best explanation.
So I looking back at some very cringeworthy home videos as a kid, I was always the teacher or boss of my little cousins and others. Yeah, it's very awful to look back on and watch those. But
So was I.
yeah, okay, good, in good company. Teaching was always, I think, always in the cards for me. That's been the through line in all of the different things that I have done up until this point, both professionally and passionately, have had a through line of teaching. So more specifically, though, it's a very long story. I'll give you the amended version. The amended version is that I ended up back at TMU here. I graduated in 2008, and I ended up back here in 2012, I think, as an internship coordinator for a group of students. So as that internship coordinator, kind of that role came to an end at the end of the summer. They were looking for someone to teach a course, and that turned into 2, which turned into 3, which turned into almost 100 at this point. Yeah, graduate and undergraduate courses. Yeah, it has happened and rolled out in a really fortunate way that I feel very, very, very fortunate to have the chance to be able to teach and work with students. And this sounds very cliche, but it's the absolute truth that I learn just as much from students and the experience of being in the classroom as hopefully they learn from me. So yeah, it's been just kind of right place, right time, saying yes to opportunities, even when I don't feel ready, and going with the flow.
Yeah, I think that's what makes a good teacher, accepting that there's always something to learn about. And just because you are a teacher doesn't mean that the learning stops.
No. And I think just to add to that, also that just because I'm the teacher in the room, I am not the authority necessarily. I don't have to be the central voice of the room. And I think a big part of my focus, as I have been teaching now for upwards of 13 years in this space, my focus has really kind of changed or narrowed in on how I can really kind of practice decolonial methods of teaching in the classroom. So the ways in which many, many, many different voices can come into play, the ways in which my critique or my feedback is not the only feedback in the room. So kind of trying to flatten hierarchies that don't need to be in a classroom space is a really important thing to me.
That is one of the many things I appreciated about being in your class. I felt like an equal more than a student, which was nice. And it also made me feel more inspired to learn more, which was a good feeling. I think I missed that. So, especially having experienced COVID, and it was a very isolated experience. So yeah,
Thank
I had
you.
a lot of fun in your class.
Thank you for your kind words.
Of course.
Yeah.
So let's learn a little bit more about you in our first segment called Loading Who Are You?
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, to dive in a little bit deeper, could you tell us a little bit more about how maybe you started in graphic design and going that route?
Yeah, another long, convoluted story. But I'll say that it started with a bad mood. That's how it started. True story. I was in grade 12 and my mom said, okay, we're going to go down to, at the time it was Ryerson University, now Toronto Metropolitan University. She said, I'm going to take the day off and we're going to go see the program that you want to go into, which funny enough was radio and television arts, RTA, which is full circle. I've kind of landed back in this space accidentally and as a self-taught person in the space. All is to say, I was in a bad mood that day. We got here. I was like, nope, do not want to be here. My mom said, I took a day off work. You are going to see something. And so I landed by accident in the boardroom just down the street at 125 Bond Street, the home of the Graphic Communications Management Program.
Okay.
The year is 2003. And
a year after we were born.
Yeah.
Oh my God, stop. Stop. Okay. My bad mood has come back. No. Just kidding. So all is to say, landed there. Mary Black, she was one of the kind of absolute power women of the printing industry at that time. She was the chair of the program. She sold me. She sold me in less than 10 minutes that this was the right program industry for me. I was always creatively minded. I was always crafty. And I always was making something. And that has been the through line also since I was little. But it was neat to be able to see, okay, this program, I can do some of this stuff, but I can also apply it from a business perspective. There's a strong entrepreneurship pillar. There's a making and a technical pillar. So anyway, it was just like the right program, right time, right place, totally by accident. Landed there, and the rest is history. And then after graduation, I moved into a role for a book printer. So I was working in manufacturing for books, and it was a great, like I learned so much, and I got to do so many cool things and see books hot off the press, and just like really incredible for someone who has always tinkered with things and made things to see this like big production of something I loved was very cool. And yeah, one thing led to another, and there's lots of details in between, but I landed back here.
Weird question.
Yeah.
You said you were working at a book manufacturing place.
Yeah.
Is there truly a new book smell?
1,000%.
Okay. I just want to confirm, because sometimes.
Okay, hold on. Pause there. Okay, I'm going to teach you a few things about book smells. Okay. It's happening. Okay. So the term for old book smell, like you go into a library, you open up a book from the 1960s, 1970s, something like that.
Yeah.
Can you envision and feel viscerally that smell?
Yes.
Okay. So that term is called bibliosmia. Old book smell.
Term.
Bibliosmia.
What is the language that it comes from?
Great question. Probably Latin. Who knows? I don't know. I'm just the book person, not the linguist.
Gotcha.
So that's old book smell, but absolutely paper, ink on paper, coatings, all of that has, I mean, that's more chemical than anything else, but has smell, and it's delightful.
Yeah.
It's delightful. We smell the if we go back into the manufacturing space, you'll smell the glue melting that goes onto the spine of the books, of the perfect bound books. You will smell almost like paper when it's being trimmed. It's heated up. There's all sorts of smells.
Yeah.
We love a smell.
Yes. I know that when I go and get new books, Indigo is my favorite place. That's my comfort home. I'll be a sponsor.
Place.
I'll be an ambassador. It is a very dangerous place. I never walk in and come out with nothing.
Correct.
So anytime I open a book, there's just this distinct new book smell. And then there's a different smell when you go to the library and then you open up an old book, like you were saying. So I just wanted to know if I was the only one that experienced that.
No, you absolutely aren't. And I'm gonna one up you next time.
Okay.
Not one up you, but I'm gonna give you an extra something to look for, a scavenger hunt item.
Okay.
So don't only smell the books, but I want you to take a coffee table book, something that has a lot of something that has, for example, coated paper.
Okay.
Lots of ink on the sheets.
Okay.
And I want you to open that up and run your hand across that sheet. Do you know what you're going to find?
Texture.
No. You'll never get this.
Fibers? I guess
No.
paper fibers.
You'll find cornstarch.
You know what?
Interesting.
That makes sense.
So it's called spray powder.
Okay.
And basically, it's like tiny, tiny ball bearings. It goes, a puff of spray powder goes onto our press sheet that has a heavy ink coverage, especially coated paper. And we have, when sheets are stacked on top of each other at the delivery end of the press, those teeny tiny microscopic ball bearings give the space needed for the sheets to dry so they don't dry in one solid ink clump.
That's how they do it.
But then when you get it home, if it's still fresh, hot off the press, no one's opened it and touched it, you will feel that coating of what feels like it's essentially cornstarch.
Okay, now I'm going to look for it. This
I think
is
it
so
makes
fascinating.
sense. Like I have some big format books that I are probably like manufactured that way. And I'm like, why is it kind of dusty? Is it just old? But actually it's not. It's super new.
No, ma'am. Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, there you
I
go.
like the idea.
Okay, we're going to have a spin-off podcast that's
Yes.
just,
Okay.
it's called
Talking about
Book
books.
Talk.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Wonderful.
I love it.
I love book binding, by the way, too.
So, okay, don't
it's
get me
kind of an
started.
obsession.
Move
It's
on
kind
with the
of an
question.
obsession.
No, wait, I have something to say about that. So there's like a whole wormhole that I went into after revisiting the Hunger Games movie that came out, the new one.
Okay.
And so there was Hunger Games book binding. And so they took out all the old pages of the 3 original books. 4, I guess, because Mockingjay Part 2, 1 and 2. And so the person made like this gold and silver stencil and like she cut it out with like an X-Acto knife and then she made her own book binding. That might be the new hobby that I want to explore, but it's such an intensive process because there was so much to do and she had like a book press and it was so nice. It was so nice, but I could see you doing that.
Oh,
You should have a class where you teach us how to bookbind.
we have a class. I don't teach it, but
How to bookbind?
yeah.
You should teach it.
I want to teach it. Listen, it's okay. Maybe next time.
Yeah, maybe next time. You're talking to book nerds here, so the biggest of them all.
I also love paper. Like that's also a side tangent.
This is,
I love paper.
you guys are setting me up. She's like, go on tangents.
No,
Like,
there's a
never
reason
mind.
you're here.
Because we couldn't really pick your brain too much because we're on like a time crunch in class. But like
Yeah.
now we get to
Now
talk
we can
about
actually
paper. This is where
inspect
it's
your
fun.
brain,
Yeah.
pick it apart, lay it out on the table,
Listen,
display your talents.
You guys should have done a directed studies with me. We could have done like a course all about paper and binding and ink.
It's a time to delay our graduation.
Yeah, I know. I think, listen, here's my belief. What if we all delay our friend group specifically and we all delay and then we can stay together and then we take the classes and then we have a fun breakfast club vibe group.
We could also just create a group chat.
That works
Okay.
too.
And less
Actually.
expensive, maybe.
Yeah, actually, yeah, you're right.
we'll go with that.
Tuition totally counts.
Yeah,
You're,
yeah,
you're
okay.
so right. Yeah. Okay, so that's a yes. I'm not giving anyone a choice. This is a yes.
This is happening?
This is happening. This is happening. Hannah's looking at me with with devil eyes. I'm not giving you a choice. You can graduate. I'm talking about the group chat. Yeah, we can do a group chat. Okay.
Fantastic.
Moving on to your academic journey. From your academic journey, talk about any upcoming projects that you have going on that you want to share.
Ooh.
Hint,
okay.
hint. Books.
Yeah, great segue. So I am a fierce believer in leveraging digital publishing tools. I think we are at an incredible point in time and in history whereby the bureaucracies, the red tape, the decision makers, the gatekeepers of yesteryear are no longer here. And let's create something and put it out into the world because why not? And I think a lot of what my personal and professional work has kind of where it's found me in the last number of years is on the topic of creative confidence. So I was really, really fortunate to create the content for and then deliver a Domestica course all about creative confidence and kind of reframing imposter syndrome, making friends with failure, essentially not giving in to the loud or quieting the loud inner critic that can sometimes want to take over in a project, and just putting work out there in the world, knowing that we don't have control over the outcome once it's out in the world, but knowing that all of the work leading up to it, all of the making, all of the doing, all of the learning, that's the good stuff. And the actual publication, the production, the getting it out into the world, it's almost like the ashes of our art. And if anyone listens, if anyone reads, if anyone watches, great. We love that. But ultimately, that does not define our worth as a creative, and it shouldn't discourage us, even if we don't get the like count we want, even if we don't have the overflowing positive comments, or even if we have the negative feedback. I think that it is still worth making and doing for the sake of making and doing. So that is a long-winded way, it's my theme today, a long-winded way of saying that I have finished my first self-published book all about this topic of creative confidence.
Woo woo.
I was literally up too late last night finishing the final edits. The third round of edits, I hired a professional editor to help me with it. And so it's been a really incredible learning opportunity. All of the doing is always learning. And so, it's called Brave Creative Human. Okay. Shameless plug right here. Brave Creative Human. And then the subtitle is Embrace Failure, Reframe Imposter Syndrome, and Be Unapologetically You. And it contains a whole bunch of personal stories, 17 personal stories, lumped into 3 categories: brave, creative, and human. And hopefully by the end of it, you'll feel a little bit lighter, a little bit more like yourself, a little bit more willing to dip that toe into the waters of whatever you want to create. That's my hope for it. So September 28th.
Okay.
Amazing.
Noted.
We get a date.
2025.
Yes. Exciting. In print?
Yeah.
Amazing.
In print.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm also learning all about Kindle direct publishing and other
ebooks.
Other publishing methods. So both ebook, I'm working with a really incredible person who is helping me with digital accessibility and ebook creation. I have my wonderful editor who I'm working with, and then I've done all of the design work and all of the internal layouts for the cover and the internal pages. So it's been a labor of love that will be in print. It will be ebook, and I am doing my very best to figure out how to self-publish an audiobook on Audible. I don't know if that's possible yet. We're going to see.
I'm sure it is. There
I
should be
think
a way.
so, but that's what I have to figure out between now and then. Yeah.
Cool. Will you self-narrate it then?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's extra good.
That would be really cool.
Can I add? So my dear friend, who is one of my mentees, and wonderful friend who I've had the pleasure of working with for many years. His name is Chris Ambedkar. He goes by Guy Annabella. He is a professional drag queen now, and he wrote the foreword. And so it's so good. So I want to get him to narrate the foreword, and then I would read the rest of the book. But it's like this beautiful collaborative, thing.
Oh, that's super exciting. It's going to be really appreciated. Have you ever thought about giving a TED Talk? I feel like you're the perfect candidate for a motivational TED Talk I used to grow up on TED Talks.
I love TED Talks.
I was so obsessed with TikToks. I would just find a bunch to listen to instead of doing my high school work, but I love them.
Love TED Talks. Yes. If ever there was an opportunity, okay, Ted, you listening?
No, you should go forward. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was just going to pitch myself to the TED organization.
Please do.
But I would love to do more speaking in and around these topic areas for sure.
I feel like you'd be the perfect TED Talk candidate. I could picture you with like the mic and everything. You have the
Britney mic?
Yeah.
Okay.
On the TED, and the red lipstick will match the red TED letters.
Ooh.
Everything. You got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you've sold
I
me.
have the vision. I've been thinking about this ever since I walked into your class. I was like, she has a TED Talk voice. But it's also the way you speak.
Sneesha.
I think it's very inspirational, motivational. Life coach can be a retirement plan, if anything.
My retirement plan is
To
to
retire. I think.
keep making things, I think.
There you go.
okay.
I think I never want to stop making things.
Please continue.
Retirement's a ways off, though. It's funny.
Yeah.
My husband's a bit older than me, not that much, but he has a retirement that is 2035. So 10 years from now,
Oh,
he's
okay.
eligible
Nice.
to retire.
Okay.
And he's like, I'm retiring on that day. I'm like, I'll retire with you. He's like, absolutely not. I need my time away from you in my retirement. So I will probably never retire. I'll probably be, if I'm lucky, 99 and a half and making a podcast episode or something, or whatever the equivalent is in whatever year that is.
That's true. There would be a different equivalent.
I'll just be a hologram something.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Okay.
What is it called? Posthumous
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
I'll just be floating around.
Yeah.
It's
That'd be
a
cool.
ghost hologram. It's just, okay, it's getting weird. Sorry, continue.
No, it's okay. Do we go on? Okay. I guess going back to being unapologetically creative, how do you keep that going in your life, especially with your personal style, with the dresses that we've seen all the weeks throughout the classes? Like, is that part of keeping the whimsy throughout your life when other more serious things may bog you down?
Yeah, I love whimsy. And I feel like the more I have gotten older, the more I have kind of sunk into myself. And I don't want to put myself in a box to say that this is the only dress I will ever wear ever again, although it has pockets and it's the perfect temperature for indoors.
A dress with pockets is everything.
It's everything. It's everything. But yeah, I mean, I think when I look at teaching, and I'm very grateful to the teachers who taught me, but they had a very specific style, a very specific point of view. And that's because that's all that I knew. That's how I began to teach when I started to teach. And I in my mind, there was a right way and there was a wrong way. And I think as time has gone on in teaching and in style and in side quests, whatever, I realized there's very seldom is there ever a black and a white, a right and a wrong, and there is much more gray in the middle to explore. So I think that, where was I going with this? I think that something that I'm constantly is evolving is just like, yeah, being creatively exploratory for the sake of being exploratory, and knowing that I don't have to have an answer, and knowing that there's no one right way to do things, and knowing that I can change my mind in an hour if I want about everything, right? So it's this kind of being open to being open. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That means that when you're 99, you'll be extra funky.
Oh,
and
I will
free.
be
Yeah.
weird. Things gonna get weird. You better believe it.
You said that you can change your mind and things can change in an hour and it'll be fine. Coming from a super indecisive person, what are your thoughts in being indecisive? Where does that come from in your perspective?
My goodness.
I'm not asking you to mind read me. I can't read my own mind, but I am super indecisive. And I find that either I need other people's opinions to confirm that I'm going the right way, which is not the best way to approach things, but it just, even with the basic of choices, like where do I go to eat or what should I wear today? Super indecisive. So many choices.
So I would say, okay, there are many ways to approach this, I think. There's no one right or wrong way. But I would say that it sounds like a bit of a systems problem versus a you problem. So if you're really indecisive in the morning getting dressed, maybe you just have too many clothes out. Maybe you just need 3 outfits. And instead of choosing 1 out of 30 things, you choose 1 of 3 things. Right? So maybe it's just a overwhelm of choice, right? The paradox of choice, that too much choice. I don't know. That's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is just to follow your gut. And I've done this more and more as, again, I've gotten older and wiser. Imagine me at 99. Holy smokes.
The wisest human.
Holy
to walk the
smokes.
earth.
Okay. Sorry, I'm watching a squirrel go down the stairs very gingerly. Literally
animal.
squirrel.
Yeah, no, there's
Focus,
squirrels
Diana.
walking up on the bricks. Sometimes it's spooky.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Okay. Where was I going with this? I was going to say, the more I've gotten older and wiser, I follow my creative intuition so much more than I used to, which very automatically quiets. It dampens the noise from outside so that I can then hear my internal thoughts. And I think also just knowing that even if I do make a quote unquote wrong decision, I have the ability, I know that I have the ability to pick myself back up, which gives me the confidence to move forward in the first place, even if it means a wrong decision.
Okay.
And knowing that I can learn from each step of the process.
A deeper, more follow-up question.
Yeah.
You can feel free to skip if you want. But I am openly admitting that I'm a very anxious person. And my struggle is that I can't differentiate between anxiety and intuition. So what is your perspective on differentiating that? What does one look like in comparison to another?
What if it all goes right?
I don't know, because nothing's ever always gone right.
So I think
Maybe.
for me, I think that's where anxiety lives, is the idea that what if it goes wrong?
Right. Yeah.
So maybe the question to ask is, what if it goes right? What then? And follow whatever answer presents itself. I feel like that is an intuitive sense.
Okay. Would you be able to give us an example?
Absolutely not. Let's see. I don't know. Like, let's say, okay, let's go back to my surly 18-year-old self who was trying to figure out what to do next, right? So I can't be certain what my thought pattern was back then, but if I were to revisit it with my brain today, I might have said, okay, I've got this program or I've got this program.
Yeah.
I've got 4 years here or 4 years here. And I think making pros and cons lists, helpful, but ultimately, just looking at, okay, what does this mean in terms of the final outcome? Like, where will I be at the end of this? And if my gut reaction is like, I'm sitting at a desk and I'm doing a lot of writing versus I'm chatting with people and whatever the case is, whatever that final outcome looks like, I follow my gut. I'm like, oh yeah, that feels better. Even if I don't know where I will be in 4 years, I know that right now, where I am, that instinctually feels better.
Okay.
And I go there. I don't know.
I like that.
That's probably, it's not a great answer, but it's, I think it just takes time also, right? When there's so many voices always coming from, and whether they're solicited, you're asking people for advice, or they are non-solicited. I think our world is a very noisy place in a lot of ways. But once you can start kind of tapping into, oh yeah, what if it all goes right? And there's something here, a kernel of truth that I want to hang on to and move forward with. I think the louder the internal voice becomes when you give it a space to speak louder than everyone else from the outside.
That was very well phrased.
Thank you.
I think that's great.
Quotable.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. This actually goes to my next question about what is one quote or philosophy that you try your best to follow?
Oh, okay. I've got a couple.
Please
that
share
come
them
to
all.
mind immediately that I honestly, as a teenager, these were words thrown at me or spoken to me in passing, and they have just stuck and have been so helpful. There's two in particular. One is everything is relative. And this is something that my music teacher would say, because of course, if everyone's playing loudly and you're playing softly, that is not helpful. You need to bring yourself up to the level, right? So everything is relative. And that applies all over the place, I think. Like everything is, I can't give a good example either off the top of my head, but everything is relative comes up way more than you think it would.
Okay.
And then the second one is you got to know when to hold them and you got to know when to fold them. You got to know, okay, I'm not going to sing. So
you can.
But it's the idea of knowing when to, so it comes from I can't think of who sang the song, but it's like an old country song.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And it's my friend's mom who's a principal, like an elementary school principal. And I shadowed her one day. I think it was like grade 9 or something.
Yes.
And
take your kid to work day.
She gave me this advice. There's a million things flying into her office all throughout the day. And she said, let me tell you this. And she looked me in the eye. She's like, you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. And I didn't really understand it at the time. But now I understand it, of course, to mean that you can't win every fight. You need to pick your battles strategically and only fight those fights. So I think of this with my kids all the time. And I'm like about to go head to head. And then I'm like, I don't want to die on this hill.
Yeah.
This is not a hill that I'm willing to die on or I need to die on. So I will save my fight for another battle. But it's that idea of knowing in a collaborative setting, in a familial setting, in any sort of setting, that to try to win every fight means you've lost. And so and not fighting in like a really violent way, but like collaborating, but like positive conflict. I mean, we talked about this in the course, but just knowing when to push and knowing when to ease up, compromise, let others do their thing.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I think moving on into sort of related into this question, your interdisciplinary innovation class brings together a lot of people from different disciplines, and there's a lot of collaboration that it's going to help support and those sort of ideals. Knowing that there's a lot of people coming in from different disciplines, what is a way that you formatted this class to sort of combat is not really a good word for this, but maybe just like understanding that so many people are coming in from like all different understandings and things like that. Because I think some parts are kind of covered in the class too, but like just for the people who don't know.
Yeah. So I first taught this class. I co-taught this class actually with Chris, who
Interesting. I didn't know that.
I mentioned before.
Yeah.
So he and I, during the pandemic, figured out, okay, how are we gonna do this? And we delivered the first maybe 2 offerings of the course online. Okay. And so we're like, how do we kind of reimagine this course to be what it is now? How do we do it together collaboratively? And he is someone who pushes back all the time on me. He'd be like, are you sure? And I hated it at first. I hated it, Chris. I hated it. But the more that he did it, the more I realized he was right a lot of the time. And it also strengthened my what we were making together. But yeah, we had to figure out how to get people to care about one another ultimately, and to see that we all bring something to the table in a digital space, in a virtual space. Right. And I can't remember where specifically or how the idea incubated, but the humans of interdisciplinary innovation, whether you love it or you hate it, it is an incredible tool and invitation to get to know someone very quickly, very vulnerably, kind of right out the gate. And so that was something that's been in the course, in our reimagining of the course since day one. I think I've taught it 9 times now, and it's always, that has been the consistent flow through in that course. But yeah, so it's all about sharing a moment of transformation, being vulnerable in a very short snippet of a kind of document or of 450 words is not a lot of words, and sharing a few photos. And so we don't just see each other as student numbers at worst, names maybe at best, but now we see each other as human beings, as people who have lives outside of school. I think oftentimes what happens, and I'm guilty of this as well, but we think that when a student is in school and you're in a class, like that is your focus. Right? So imagine a pie chart. That's your focus. That's what you're doing. And maybe that pie is split into 5 because you're taking 5 courses. No. Like this pie is split into 67 different slices of all the roles, responsibilities, the emotional things you carry into the classroom and everything. We all have it, right? Yeah. And so I think it helps students and me better understand what some of those 68 other things are versus just the sliver that we see in the classroom. Yeah. So that assignment I love. It's challenging. But it's always incredible to read the stories that come out of that project.
Yeah, it was the one time I think I actually listened to the instructions of an assignment where it asked you to be personal and vulnerable. I was like, let me try this one time. Maybe let me be super, super honest. And then I was, and I noticed that other people in the class were really honest too. And I read through as many stories as I could, and it left a really nice, warm feeling. Like a lot of people wrote very wholesome things, and it was nice that it wasn't only one person sharing vulnerable parts of their life. It was so many people. So I'm glad that a lot of people decided to be like, hey, I'll put myself out there too. It's not just you. There was a community in that sense of being very like independently sharing everything, but also together, which was, I loved that class so much.
So do you think, I have a question for you both, because you've both done it. Do you think it was, looking back, was it easier to do at the start when you really didn't know too many other people? Or would it have been easier to do at the end of the course?
I have an answer if you want to answer first.
Oh, sure. I was thinking because that wasn't the cohort that we were, like a lot of the people in that class weren't a part of our cohort. So we actually genuinely did not know anybody. I think it still had the same effect where since we didn't know anybody and then hearing all of their stories or like seeing them, I think that made that community space that you were talking about, Sneesha. And then also, I think it made the tone of the class, like, I think it influenced the tone of the class overall.
Yes,
so it wouldn't have worked as well in the end than it would have if it just stays in the beginning.
Yeah. Thank you.
I have basically the same answer. I was going to say it's better as an approach to set how vulnerable and open we're going to be at the beginning before anyone knows each other. It's almost like starting a new school, not knowing anyone. You can kind of reinvent your identity and get a chance to redo the things that you weren't always able to explore or able to expose to other people. Because once people expect something from you, it's difficult to kind of be like, you know what, I want to explore more of this, or I want to be this kind of person. And once you go to a new place, you have a new platform, you have a new area to kind of, explore different aspects of your personality. And I think that it was good placed at the beginning, because then we could all be like, okay, this is going to be a very openly, emotionally intelligent sharing space. And that's what it was. And it was comforting. I think that educational spaces need that.
Yeah, it was like a sign to just be genuine.
Yes,
like because sometimes there's like some spaces that I've been in, like learning spaces, where I don't know, certain things happen and then you just don't feel like you can be genuine, and then obviously that affects your learning. So I think that really contributed to the overall tone.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. And that's the idea, that you could kind of come in clean slate, write what you wanted to write, knowing that it was low stakes in the sense that I wasn't having you stand up in front of the room and read your story.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right? You
I would have cried.
quietly post it online on our closed discussion forums and have it live there safely. But yeah, it still feel vulnerable. And okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
It also showed us how much you as a professor care. I think that's really important, especially when you go on to post-secondary spaces. It's very common to feel disconnected from the person who's teaching you, and you feel like, okay, it's just a transactional relationship. It's not really like this professor cares about your success. But when you cared to hear more about our backgrounds and stories, more than, okay, what's your potential? What's your talent? What can you do? It kind of gave us the space to be like, well, maybe I can be my full self here. Maybe this teacher does care about how I feel as a student and what I want to show and what I want to showcase. So it was a really warm environment to be in. And I think school spaces need that more often, because it also encourages everyone else in the room to be open with themselves. And no one feels like, okay, I just have to worry about my grade. I just have to worry about finishing all these assignments and then get in, get out. It removes that factor, which I really appreciated.
Yeah, there can be such a transactional nature.
Yes.
or feeling that lives inside of classroom spaces, which is bananas if you think about why we're actually here.
Yep.
Right? And so it's, I certainly don't have it all figured out, but the more and more I learn about learning and teaching and ways in which to approach assessments and classroom spaces and foster community and ungrading practices and on and on and on and on, I'm like, there's a whole new world that's opened up to be like, why are we doing it this way?
Yeah.
Why has this perpetuated for so long?
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of reasons why, but I think there's also, it's a time to say like, why not try this?
Yeah.
Why not try that?
To explore that existential question, we're going to move on to our next segment called Deep Dive, No Edits.
All right. So continuing on this conversation within this class, you mentioned the concept of lobster shells and kind of outgrowing that and then fitting it to the new one. I would say definitely it was a space where you kind of unshelled a little bit as you went through each of the classes. And I think a lot of people within the cohort really struggled with the pechacuchas, and that was definitely a big growing moment. Is there something right now that you're actively doing to grow out of your current lobster shell?
Oh my gosh, always, for better or for worse. What am I doing to grow out of my lobster shell?
Maybe to give context to what the lobster concept is from your own words.
Sure. So the lobster concept, it's how lobsters do their thing. So they literally will keep growing until they are too big for their current shell. They'll break out of their shell, but then they're vulnerable and they're squishy and they're at the bottom of the ocean, and that's problematic. So they go and hide, and they go into kind of a dark, quiet place. This is very metaphorical, you see, as well. And they regrow their shell. And they can keep, in theory, growing and growing and growing until they get eaten by something or scooped up. But
Right.
the idea is that they're constantly in this process of ebbing and flowing, of growing out of their shell and having to rebuild again. So that is the idea, that students in this course would at least grow one shell size in the 12 weeks. They would kind of reimagine or re-envision what the world could be, their world could be, and have it be a little bit different by the end. Okay, so what am I doing?
I'm glad you remembered, because my mind blanked. I was like, where are we going? You're really good at coming back to which is so appreciated, especially for us.
No problem.
We have cards.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
What am I doing? I think it comes back to the book, and just like, so just again, to give some context, I've wanted to write a book for a long time, and it just hasn't really been the right time, or there was other side projects going on. And so I decided to leverage the platform Substack. And so do you know Substack? Yeah. So Substack is this like wonderful little, it's like, think of an email marketing mixed with old school blog. Anyway, it's awesome. So I knew that when I decided to write stories, I didn't want to write it linearly. I wanted to write it in pieces that kind of made sense with what came up for me. And I knew I wanted to write it in a community space. I knew I wanted to write it with a leaning towards experimentation and just like playing with things. And so Substack was what I used, and I published each and every story along the way.
Okay.
And so that has been such a cool thing. And so I thought that I wanted to get to around 50,000 words before actually putting the book out into the world.
Wow. Okay. How many pages is that approximately?
So, it depends. It depends on how it's typeset, but that's a whole other conversation.
Yes.
Okay. But generally speaking, books are between 50,000 and 100,000 words. Like if you think of an average nonfiction or average fiction, work of fiction, that's in and around there. So I'm like 50,000. Okay. I was at 22,000-ish with 17 stories. And then I thought, why don't I just publish this? Like, what am I waiting for? Do I need 50,000 words? So I wrote a really beefy, well-researched intro that gave context. I found a way to interweave the 17 stories. I asked Chris to write my foreword, and there you have it. I'm at 30,000 words now, which feels meaty, and the book will be 260 pages. Wow. So all is to say that I think that is how I am growing out of my my lobster shell right now is it feels very vulnerable, even though all these stories technically exist in the world already.
Yeah.
It feels very vulnerable to put them out into the world again, or as a packaged final product. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I can only imagine a fraction coming from like my thesis brain right now.
I was just about to say, we're struggling to write 20.
Yeah, because like I think the amount of words, if it's like roughly 50 pages, it's like maybe 15K words, which is like only a fraction of what you've written. And if I'm struggling this hard in some ways, I can only imagine now that like you've put it all together. There's a lot of, I don't know how to describe it. There's like a momentousness to it, potentially. Maybe a bit of, I don't know. There's just a lot of emotion. It's just like conflicting. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah. I hope my first book, because there will be more, I think, right? And that's the other idea. Whatever happens when it leaves my hands, it's up to the world. It's not up to me. And that's not something I need to worry about. But I hope my first book is my worst book. So I hope that I can like, again, it's all in the making. It's in the creation of the stories. It's in the late night dog walks that my dog takes me on a walk every night. And I'm so appreciative because that's when I think best, when I can walk and talk. And sometimes I'm that weird person who's like dictating into my phone punctuation as I walk, just to get it out. So it's all of that process that is the magic for me in the final end product and putting it out. While vulnerable and scary, I feel it necessary to do it. But again, those are just kind of the ashes of all of the good stuff, all of the fire that's happened up until that point. But that's how I'm growing out of my shell, putting things out into the world vulnerably, unapologetically. I have to follow my own advice, which is hard.
Yes. That is a very brave, big step in ways to try and put yourself out there. But I was also going to say, my next question is actually what inspired you to add picture books in your teaching? Because you're a big fan and you've read so many picture book stories to us. And also, would you ever write a picture book? Because I could totally see you writing
I would love to. I would love to. Actually, I would love to take the book that I'm working on right now and somehow
condense it to
make it into, so that the through line, this is my favorite word of today, but the through line of the brave creative human is crayons. And I use crayons as metaphor. And so I would love to do something with crayons and turn it into a children's book. But I don't know where the idea actually came from, but I have loved kids' books long before I've had kids. I've owned picture books and books that my kids still are not allowed to touch long before I had kids. And so I just love the medium of books, especially children's books that are almost like these beautiful self-contained parables there's deep, important lessons that are told in beautiful, whimsical, interesting, visually striking ways that are totally different from long form adult works of whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I think I love using picture books also because of the surprise factor. I think the shock factor of me, or the pissed off factor. Am I allowed to say that? Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not swear, but you could say pissed off.
The mad factor.
Yeah.
Yes.
If anyone comes into a graduate program, they're like, why am I having books read to me? I want to change their minds that there's a lot of deep wisdom in a children's picture book. So I think just like the sneaky trickster part of me is like, I'm going to bring books into this space and see what happens.
Yeah.
Kids'
I'm glad
books.
you did. I saw some faces change throughout the classes. I saw a few people being upset and going on their phones. And then I saw them slowly look up like interested kindergartens just with their teacher in a circle. It was beautiful, I think. We are very open-minded people. So we were like, oh my God, I like that she included a picture book. Yeah. And I also just love wholesome things, as my entire friend group knows. They just know me as any nice character, any nice thing, I just gravitate towards. So the fact that you brought such a wholesome, sweet story every single time you were trying to teach us about something, I think it's one of the best ways to teach someone something, because you're stripping the concepts down to the bare bone and speaking to a child, you also speak with care, gentleness, and genuine sincerity. And I think that we also learn if we're not coddled, but comforted. I think I would like to use. That's the word I'd like to use. So,
Yeah. I love a picture book.
And it also made my inner child very happy because I always loved the tactile moments. Like when I was a counselor or like a volunteer at a summer camp, there would be, when I was volunteering with like the smaller kids and there would be carpet time. I actually also really enjoyed when other counselors read the books because I really like that tactile, like paper flip and everything. I don't know. That whole experience, I don't know, in my mind is probably one of the best things in life.
I agree.
We've just come back to paper, people.
Yes, we have.
I love paper. Did you know that?
I didn't. But now I love you so much more because you love paper.
Yes.
We are like two parts of a brain cell sharing. Like you love the paper and the making, and I just love the end product of reading and diving into the book.
That works.
The way I read books is just I am able to shut out everything, and it's like literally the story unfolding around me, and I just block out everything, and I'm just able to fully submerge myself and imagine everything. One of my favorite authors, as if everyone else doesn't know, is Brandon Sanderson. I don't know if you've heard of him.
I don't.
But he's a very famous fantasy author.
Okay.
And his way of describing is gorgeous, beautiful.
Okay.
I can envision an entire universe. It's awesome.
I love that. I was going to ask you, what's your favorite book?
Oh, okay. Book is hard to choose.
Favorite series?
Series I can choose.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Can I choose two?
Yeah.
Okay. So from his universe, I would say Mistborn and Stormlight Archives.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have read neither.
So for Mistborn, there's two eras. One takes place in like medieval aesthetic times. There's 3 books. They're all quite long, or like really long. And the Stormlight Archives are about 1,000 pages a book, and there's 5 books. Right now. There's a part 1 and 2. Part 2 is coming out 2030, 31, 30. It's a whole
Holy
long
smokes.
thing. Yeah, but each book is about 1,000 pages. There's part 1, part 2 with the 15-year time jump. I'm nerding out so much. I'm so sorry.
It's great.
But I read all these 5 books in the span of 6 months, I want to say, last year.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a great journey. I love those books, and I'll nerd about it later about why I love these books, but I'm just so emotionally attached to the characters.
So fun.
It's awesome. Yeah.
That's
I'm a
awesome.
huge book nerd, if you couldn't tell.
I couldn't at all.
You
hide it well.
And in high school, not to brag, but I tried to beat my record of how many books I could read in a week. I got up to 13.
Oh.
And then I stopped after that because COVID, but yeah, I one day want to get back up to that. But I think now I've just been reading like more heavier books. So yeah, it was a fun time. I would just go with my mom to the library, and she'd pick out some random books just based on the covers, and I would end up loving them. And I just never understood how she perfectly picked these books. And anytime I went by myself, I'm like, I need to bring her with me. Like I can't choose my own books.
Listen, you can't judge a book by its cover.
No, you can't.
Unless it's a book. And then absolutely, let's judge a book by its cover.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay.
And she did that extremely well. Yeah.
Love that.
Is it me next?
Oh, it's me.
No, that's you.
Okay. Speaking more about books and when you were writing them, and also, especially now that a lot of our cohort is writing, when you face a writer's block, how do you, or like go through burnout, how do you try to get past that?
Okay, I have 18 bajillion ideas here.
Spill as many as we have time for.
Okay,
I need this.
Okay. So, number 1 is start from abundance, not scarcity. So what I mean by that, so my creativity comes in ebbs and flows. I think most people's creativity does work that way. But when I'm really feeling inspired, or like there's stuff that I'm, I'll write that down. Write as much down, catch as much of that as you can while it's coming out of you.
Okay.
Versus scheduling on Monday from 2 to 3, I'm going to sit down and do this. it might work for some people. It definitely does not work for me. So when you are inspired, when you have something to say, just get as much out as possible, milk that moment for what it's worth.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to make sense. I think that's the other place where people go wrong is they think you have to write a coherent document, a coherent publication from beginning to end. Mm-hmm. No, the only reason for your first draft to exist is to be a first draft. It can be a garbage first draft. It just needs to be something, and then you have material to work with. So writing and editing should be two distinct processes.
Okay.
Just get it down. Okay.
How do you revisit? Sorry to cut you off. How do you revisit that after you've done it? Because I tried the scheduling. It doesn't work for me. So I think sometimes I just get this burst of being like, I want to do this and this and this and this and this. And then I'm like, oh, the time's passed. I don't feel like doing it anymore, but I would have loved to. So once you have all those ideas down, how do you revisit it with motivation if you have none?
So I think for me, I work very intuitively, and I don't force a creative project that doesn't need to be forced. Okay. So for example, I will oftentimes create a Google Doc or whatever, a note in my notes app, and it'll just have like, just be whatever I'm thinking. Mm-hmm. And then I just tuck that away.
Okay.
And then if I have another project, another idea, it's another doc. And then if and when a time comes when I want to revisit this, I want to act on this, I want to do something with it, I can come back to that document from a place of abundance and not scarcity. And everything that I don't come back to, guilt-free, lives in my Google world. And if I get to it, I get to it. If I feel inspired, I work on it. If I don't, I don't. And not every idea has to come to fruition. So Liz Gilbert, do you know Liz Gilbert, Eat, Pray, Love? Author, Elizabeth Gilbert. Okay. She's an incredible creative mind, not just creative thinking, but also thinking about creativity. And her whole thing, she believes wholeheartedly that creativity is magic, is like a bit of sorcery, that ideas are floating around in the universe. And when we engage with an idea, when an idea comes to us, we have to participate in the process, or else that idea will get bored with us and leave and find someone else. And she has an incredible, still gives me goosebumps when I even think about this story. And I'm not going to tell it and ruin it, okay, because I'm just going to butcher the delivery, and we don't have time for it anyway. But it's in her book, Big Magic, okay, Creative Living Beyond Fear, one of my favorite books. And she talks about her lost idea and what happened to it. And you'll see. I'm just going to leave that spoiler.
That's so cute.
It's so good. It's so good. So all is to say, I let all of these ideas live rent-free in these documents, out of my brain into the world. And then if and when I want to collaborate with an idea, I do. If I don't, we part ways guilt-free.
Now we're moving on to one of your favorite topics to talk about. What is your advice on navigating and reframing imposter syndrome and failure?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Again, 87 million ideas. No right or wrong. And that's the other thing. It all lives in the gray. This is only my kind of point of view and perspective. But I think failure, I'm going to start there, is an interesting one because I love making friends with failure. It's something that I have learned to do. But before you can make friends with failure, I truly wholeheartedly believe you have to separate failure from yourself. So I've done a lot of therapeutic work with a therapist, with my own creative practice, my own writing, lots of stuff around this. But uncoupling work and worth is a huge stepping stone. Another way I've grown out of my lobster shell is decoupling this idea of work and worth, and that what we put out into the world dictates our worth. But if we start from a place of, no, I'm a human being on this planet, and I shouldn't be here because the odds are way stacked against me if we think about how likely it is that each of us are here. So just being here, I am worth it. And my work is my work, but the two are not conflated with one another. If we can decouple work and worth, once that happens, and once we can say, yeah, failure is not me, like failure can walk alongside me, but I am not failure. What I do and ultimately what I make, if it's considered a failure, is not me, is not a reflection of me. Then once we decouple ourselves from failure, then we can invite it back into play. So it's kind of this like, imagine this single being, and when we're down on ourselves about a project that didn't go the way we thought, or we're mad that we're disappointed, whatever the feeling is that failure has induced, if we can separate ourselves from failure, and I like to do an exercise where we do a sensory. Do you want to do this?
Yes.
Okay. So if you think about failure, so think about a moment of failure in your own life. Okay. And that could, again, be personal, professional, whatever. What does it sound like, smell like, feel like, look like, taste like? Did I get all 5 senses?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So think about the sensory nature of that failure. How would you describe it in sensory terms?
My mind is flooding with a bunch right now, actually. So I need to focus on one to think about.
What does it look like?
I just think for me, a lot of them has like a feeling how like stress manifests within my own body. So I feel like a lot when I'm stressed.
So heavy? Like how would you describe that?
I think it's like alarm bells, perhaps.
Okay.
Like sound wise and also like within my body when I'm stressed.
Yeah. So loud.
So a lot of that, yeah.
Like the flashing lights. Maybe no more.
I think
more
like
the sound.
More of the feeling, and then also sound. I think it overpowers like other senses. So it's like very overpowering. That's how I would describe my reaction to failure.
Yeah,
It's really strong.
yeah.
I think mine's on the quiet side, but it's like a cloud that always follows you, but only it's like a knot is how I would describe it, I guess. Like it just looks like a jumble of scribbles, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
And how does it tastes very sour.
Yeah.
If I were to think about the taste. And how does it sound?
Yeah.
Quiet. I don't think it has any noise. I think it's just there. And wait, what is it? Taste, sound, look like?
Touch, feel.
Smell.
Smell. What does it smell like? That's a good question. That's a hard one to answer. I don't know how it would smell.
That's fair. That's fair. So it's interesting though, because both of your descriptions were quite opposite, quite different, right? We all experience failure differently. But if all of a sudden we can take the time to be introspective and think about, okay, what does failure really, again, how do we sense it? Then when we have those kind of pangs of failure, small or big, we can go, okay, it's there. And we can start to really untangle, using your phrase, right? Untangle ourselves from it. It's always going to be there, right? It'll walk alongside us in projects, again, big or small, and that's just the nature of the beast. If we're trying new things, failure will walk alongside us. But I think there's a distinct difference between walking alongside failure and being the same as failure. And so once we can kind of conceptually and visualize failure being a separate entity from ourselves, that's when we can become comfortable inviting failure back into play. And that's where things get juicy. And that's where things get interesting. And that's where things get experimental. And so I think that going through the exercise of knowing that failure is inevitable, but we should continue anyway, and here is one way to think about it, is something that's really helped me.
Okay. I'm going to try that now.
Yeah, that's been really helpful. And then, imposter syndrome, I think the biggest reframe or shift from my perspective is knowing that imposter syndrome doesn't mean you're not capable. It often means that you want to do a great job for someone or in a specific circumstance, right? So I'm usually, even to this day, I'm nervous on the first day of school, right? We all are. There's some nerves on the first day of school.
Always.
And that's not because I'm not capable, but it's because I want to make a good first impression. I want to do right by this cohort. I want to make sure that things feel like they're going to move forward positively, right? So I think what feels like imposter syndrome is actually wanting to do a great job disguised. In disguise, rather.
I see that. How do you combat the thoughts of like, what if I'm not good enough, or I don't have the skill set to belong in this space? I think if I'm being honest and real, I feel like even to this day in this program, I feel like my qualifications don't fit what it takes to be here. I think that I come from I don't bring talent. I think I bring knowledge, and I would love to be bringing some kind of talent. And I think that I feel a bit imposter syndrome there. And I've shared it with everyone here, just that I feel like everyone has their thing and I don't have my thing. I want to try and spend some time and figure out what my thing is. Because when I think of everyone, even here, they have their thing that they're good at, that you can always rely on them to do really well. And when you associate something of that person, you're just like, yeah, that person's got it down. Like that's who I'm going to go to for this. So I want my thing, and I feel like I haven't found my thing. And I feel like if I found my thing, I would probably feel like I belong here more.
Okay, so I still don't feel like I belong after 13 years of full-time work.
Here in this program or?
Anywhere. In this university, I don't have a PhD. I don't have formal education in podcasting. Which is my thing, quote unquote. I don't have, I didn't go to journalism school. I did none of that, right? So I think that there will always inherently be a sense that maybe we're not a good fit. But I think the individualistic nature of society at large and the way in which we're told to think about ourselves in a creative community is very individualistic, I need my thing, I need my specialty, right? But I think what you've done with this podcast is a beautiful example that you do not need a thing per se, or you do not, you belong. You will find people who bring complementary skill sets. We all bring unique lens. We all bring some, again, skills, knowledge, things that we have acquired, life experience. And all of that is hugely valuable. And it doesn't mean we don't belong. It just means we need other people. We need other human beings.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing.
I think the most success I've had in my life is right now because I've had people to support me. And I feel like that gives me motivation to be like, yeah, I'm going to do this big thing. And I have people supporting me and doing it with me. And before, I think it was all very I want to do so many things, but there's no one around. So that's a great way of putting it. I think we do need people, and we need the right people. And I have the right people.
Yay. Yeah. I was also going to ask you though, how do you define success? You said, I feel I've never been more successful than I have been now.
Yeah.
What does success look like for you?
I think internal satisfaction. And I think a sense of self-pride, I think that goes with it, where you can also accept what you've done without needing to immediately be like, but I could have done this, or it could have gone better, without that need to be diminishing what you've done. So for me, I would call this podcast a success, despite maybe not having a huge audience, huge amount of numbers. My goal was to create a digital memory box for everyone that comes on that can share their experiences, who they are, and then maybe look back at it with their future families, with their future friends, anyone, and be like, that's where I was all these years ago. Look how far I've come. That was my goal. And I think I've accomplished that to everyone who's been on here, hopefully. Ever since I got into this program, I've kind of been fascinated by the amount of different experiences that there's been. Almost everyone here, basically everyone here, has some kind of new story that I've never heard of. And I was like, this is really cool. I feel like, not to be shady with this program, but I feel like there could be a more designated space to bring out all of this potential. And that was what I set out. So that would be my definition of success. And also, I don't think I can truly fail anything unless I stop trying. I'm trying to reframe it that way because failure is only once you quit. So I think that is what I'm trying to implement. But I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. No, I think that's really important. And I would add a caveat, or I would say yes and, my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Yes and. I would say that yes, I agree that failure only happens when you quit. And or you are intentional about quitting. I don't think quitting is necessarily at any point is failure, but it's thinking about the why behind the quitting that is, again, that whatever that means to you in terms of failure or success. But I'm glad you've thought about success on your own terms, because so often I think what happens with anyone who doesn't think about what success in a given project, in a given opportunity, whatever success looks like, if you're not thinking intentionally and for yourself, what happens is that the world thrusts an idea of success that is oftentimes capitalist, oftentimes is perhaps male dominated, is perhaps, right? All of these kind of traditional measures of success in a colonial society. That it's a certain number, that it's a certain number of likes, a certain salary, a certain, right? And so it's, I think, really powerful to take back some of that idea of what success could look like. And in doing so, by redefining success, we can also redefine failure. Yeah. And I think that's exactly what you've done.
I'm hoping to at least apply it in all different areas of my life. But we've had so many introspective conversations about that. And I think your class brought us a lot closer, which was really great for our friendship too, because we were like, let's be vulnerable and talk about burnout together. So yeah, it's been really nice to be given the space to feel like I'm allowed to redefine it. Because I think often we're put in a position where this is the definition of this. We have to follow that definition. And if we don't, then, there's certain expectations there. So, yeah.
Awesome.
So for the sake of time, I'm going to conclude that segment and go on to our last segment, which is Alt Before You Go.
So what about collaborative making is so important to you?
I think it goes back to what we just said, which is there's only so much we can do by ourselves. And when we lean on others, collaborators who are different from us in their technical expertise, in their skill sets, in their life experiences, all the things, that's when I think the real magic happens. And those little nodes of knowledge can start to intersect to become webs of wisdom. And that's how we grow, is by, I think, learning from people who are different than us.
Yes, I've learned so much with the amount of experiences that everyone's brought. I feel like there's a lesson every day.
And I don't think you even have to agree. That's not the point. But you understand a different point of view, or you understand where someone else is coming from, or you understand what's important to someone that is perhaps different than yourself. And that helps inform decisions moving forward.
There's always something you can learn from everyone. And my dad is has always planted that idea in my head. He's like, there's something you can learn from everyone.
Yes.
Look for the good in everyone. And I try to practice that. But I think you two would really get along. You guys are both motivational speaker type people.
Yes, Dad. We love Dad. Okay.
We love Dad. He gives great speeches. And when we talk about deep subjects, sometimes we go on for like 2-3 hours and it's just really deep, introspective. And then I come out feeling like, yeah, my life's changed. I'm great. He'll always be like, I don't know if I answered your question. And I'm like, you answered that question and like 100 others that I had. So he's awesome.
We love that.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Do you think that there will be a new way to express branding, whether it be personal or like professional brands?
Oh, this is a whole other topic. This is a whole other stream of
Can you answer this as succinct as possible?
Mamma mia.
I don't know why this question's in here because it's kind of big, but...
No, that's okay. So branding and brand identity. And so it is a big topic, but remember that a brand is not a logo. A brand is every interaction and every touch point you have with a product, a company, an organization, right? So I think that what we are going to see more and more of, especially in the age of AI, is authenticity and is trying to kind of cut through the noise of what feels very machine-like. And whether a machine is creating that on behalf of the brand to trick us all, that's to be seen. But I think that more and more will feel a little bit unpolished.
Yeah.
Will feel a little more authentic in whatever shape that takes, including personal branding, which is kind of a whole other beast in and of itself that I have thoughts about, but another time.
Yes.
I feel like we need to reach some sort of sense of humanness. I don't know why. That's where I think it's going.
But we're also trying to reach that in a very capitalist system that does not care about the human.
So it's like actively working against, which is...
It's all very tangled.
Yes.
It's all very complicated.
Diamonds are made under pressure.
Perhaps.
That's my go-to explanation for everything now. Stress, diamonds are made under pressure. Under lots and lots and lots of pressure.
Indeed.
So how do you protect and preserve, I guess, your inner child through any new experiences that you have?
Ooh. So I shouldn't say always, often am walking around town or my house or whatever with a marker and paper in hand. You can find me sitting on the floor. Just trying not to take life and all of the kind of places and spaces that I get to play in, not take them too seriously and actually play in those spaces. So I think that, just recognizing that life doesn't have to be so serious. There's a whole lot going on in the world, and that's not to diminish the whole lot that's going on in the world. But I think it is a radical act to choose and prioritize play and prioritize making and prioritize connecting with other people in whatever shape that takes. So I don't know if that's, it's constantly thinking with a writing utensil in my hand, whether it be a crayon, a marker, a pastel, a paintbrush.
All right. And last question to all the MDM students that are out there completing their thesis, and then also anybody else who's starting a new chapter. What words of encouragement would you give?
Ooh, okay. Get ready for the shameless plug.
Okay. Yeah.
You are a brave, creative human. So go out there, embrace failure, reframe imposter syndrome, and be unapologetically you.
See, she has the perfect podcast voice. I'm telling you, please also go listen to her podcast, Talk Paper Scissors. It's awesome. And with that, we're going to wrap up. Thank you so much for coming on our Student Run podcast.
Thank you
both.
It was such a pleasure to learn about your knowledge, your insights, and I felt like this was a therapy session, which I very much needed. And I'm going to be listening to this when I have rough times to be like, this is a piece of advice that you could follow now. That's why I asked all the questions that I go through, and I'm like, you know what? She has an answer. I get an answer from a professional who will one day, in my dreams, give a TED Talk. So
yes, thank you both.
I hope so. We're manifesting it for you.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate it. So you need others. We need collaborators.
Yes, we do.
Yes, cheerleaders. All right. Thank you both. Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed.
I did.
I'm glad.